I want to address this recent controversy over Quran burning and the results of these burnings. Last month, January 2025, a man named, if I can pronounce his name correctly, Salwan Momika, was murdered in Stockholm. He had burned the Quran outside Stockholm Central Mosque in 2023. This was, of course, it's murder, the guy may have been a bit of a blasphemer, but he was still murdered. It set off protests all over the place, and one guy in London burned a Quran outside the Turkish embassy, and he was attacked by somebody, an older guy with a knife, who fortunately didn't stab him. They were both arrested. And people of a certain political persuasion have made a lot about the fact that the Quran burner was arrested, but I would have thought it was illegal to burn anything in the street larger than a cigar, and in some places you can't even do that because of local anti-smoking directives. Please excuse us creaking desk as usual. This is obviously, how can I put it? This business, this nonsense really started in September 2005 when a Danish newspaper, again if I can pronounce it correctly, Jyllands-Posten, published 12 cartoons of the Prophet. For those of you who don't know, and I suspect there are a few of you, in Islam any depiction of the Prophet is taboo. Any slanders of him is taboo. You can curse God if you like, you deny God exists, but stay away from the Prophet. Anyway, they published these cartoons, and of course, as I've said before many times, there was a lunatic fringe within Islam, the same as there is everywhere else. In Britain, the extreme right is demonised by most of the mainstream media and by the establishment. They're all Nazis, yada yada yada. There's something called the 1% rule. I'll put a link to this below. But within any group, by any criterion or none, about 1% of the people have ideas which are absolutely crazy. And the media focuses on these people. And as with Islam, if you look on YouTube, for example, what they call the Dawah guys, people like Ali Dawah and what's his name, Muhammad something. There's several of them. They're cranks, and the media focuses on them as though they're typical Muslims. Anyway, this Jyllands-Posten incident caused uproar, and would you know it, newspapers from all across the world, including Egypt of all places, they published these cartoons. And here there was talk about free speech. It's free speech. It's a free speech issue. Yeah, sure. Including Germany. In Germany, just doing that, a Hitler salute or a Nazi salute or Roman salute, can get you arrested. You can't display a swastika in Germany. In Britain, there's been so much aggravation over race and prosecutions for imaginary offences, and people have been jailed for them. Name calling, or just again cartoons, anything depicting Jews in an unfavourable light, anything depicting blacks or even Muslims, ironically, is taboo, and people can lose their jobs, they can be sacked, fined, imprisoned. It's a really horrible incident in 1990 when Colin Jordan, at the behest of Gerald Kaufman MP, his home was raided, and they subjected this guy to months of hell, and actually years of hell, because after that he brought another prosecution against him after that one failed. I'll show you the cartoon he published. Would you believe they raided a man's home on account of that and subjected him to such harassment? Seized, I think, something like 60 boxes of documents. His work of a lifetime. And this is the sort of scum our police are. And I say scum knowingly. Scum and filth. That's the sort of thing they do. And the prosecutions, I mean, these prosecutors, they prosecute any rubbish. And they wonder why people hate them. Anyway, a newspaper in Iran decided to test Western hypocrisy, and in 2006 they organised an international Holocaust cartoon contest. The newspaper Hamshari, and later in the year, then President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, Mahmoud the Great, he invited people to something that became known as the Global Vision event, a Global Vision conference. And I attended that, which was December 2006. And I picked up a copy of the Quran in Tehran. I've actually got two copies. I've got a copy that was given me by a white convert, and this is the copy I picked up in Tehran, lavishly printed. Anyway, that's one of my personal Qurans. I had to dust this down. I haven't looked at it for well over a decade. It's on my bookshelf. Ironically, the first Quran burner was Uthman, the third caliph. Initially, the Quran wasn't written down. Muhammad was visited by an angel. And please again excuse the correct English. This is, if I can when I can afford a new one, I'll get a new one. But I think I'll probably be dead by then. Muhammad was visited by an angel. He'd recite the Quran, and people wrote it down on scraps of papyrus and bark, tree bark and stuff like that. After his death, they were gathered together, and Uthman ordered. They published the Quran, and there were 4 copies made, or maybe more, depending on which hadith you read, and they were sent to different parts of the kingdom, and the originals were burned to avoid any future confusion. Well, that didn't turn out so well. So actually, the first burning of the Quran was done by one of the most important men in Islam. This whole thing about Quran burning, I mean, why do they do it? Well, you thought that after the Danish cartoons affair, that would have been it, you know. I mean, there are of course riots throughout the Islamic world and the non-Islamic world. People were murdered. Some people were murdered. You thought these blasphemers, if you like, whatever you want to call them, you thought they had made their point, right? But no, they had to keep poking the bear. They had to keep push, and this is the result. Why do they burn the Quran? Because they know what will happen. They don't burn the Bible. They don't burn the Hindu text. They don't burn anything else. It's just the Quran, because they know the reaction it will get. And the people doing this, there are atheists and there are Christians. Sometimes they work together. In one particular instance, David Wood, for example, is a Christian apologist. He did a double act with Nabil Qureshi, who was a Muslim and converted to Christianity. And they would eat the Quran, I mean, stupid stuff, just to get up people's noses, just to get the nose of devout Muslims. Qureshi died in 2017. He had cancer in the stomach or something. He was I think he was 34. He died young. And then Wood teamed up with Ridvan Ademir, who goes by the Apostate Prophet on YouTube. Ademir is an atheist. Well, I'm an atheist. I'm a lifelong atheist, but he has a pathological hatred of Islam and all things. I've no doubt he had bad experiences. One in particular, his aunt was murdered by a Muslim, a guy. She became engaged or something. But he's quite open about it. He was living in Germany. He was born in Germany. He lives in the United States now. His aunt was murdered by this guy, and he's obviously got a beanies bonnet about it. Other anti-Muslims as well. There was a young woman, a very attractive young woman actually, Khan, she was born in the UK. She got married in Dubai. And she had a bad experience, a bad marriage, and she escaped the country. There's Yasmin Mohammed, who is a total, well, I mean, these people claim to be defending the West, yeah, sure, and so they keep poking the bear, and they get the reaction they want, and now look where we are. Again, I mean, I don't do anything but condemn the violent reaction to Quran burning, but it's the hypocrisy that gets me, the utter hypocrisy. This idea that Muslims should integrate with Western society, that if they don't, they're sort of the enemy within. Well, there's a mosque down the end of my road, Venner Road, every Friday, Venner Road Hall. I don't go there, and they don't come here. This so-called integration garbage got so far. You've had homosexuals trying to infiltrate the mosque now, the same way they've infiltrated the church. And there's this idea again that Islam is like opposed to Western values. They don't share our values. Well, if you go back to the 1960s, there wasn't that much difference between Islamic values and Western values. I mean, we had the swinging 60s here. But before that, for example, alcohol is taboo in Islam. Well, there's a strong temperance movement here. Well, it has been. Scotland, I believe, has more alcoholics and more teetotalers than head of population than certainly any country in the UK, if not Europe. Homosexuality is taboo in Islam, and it was taboo here. It was like hidden away, and where it should be, out in the public space. And now you've got this insane trans movement. None of this is tolerated by Islam. And these people who keep attacking Islam, they don't give monkeys about Western values. They want the conflict. They love the conflict. So we have to resist them the same way we have to resist the communists, now calling themselves anti-racist, yada yada yada. We have to resist them. We have to understand what they're about, because these people are not our friends. They're not friends of the West. They're certainly not friends of Islam, even those who pose as friends of Islam. So anyway, that's all I have to say. This whole business has to stop. They have to stop poking the bear, because really all they're doing is they'll end up destroying us all eventually, unless we stop them.